What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for coming back to Life by the Slice, where we are taking life one slice at a time. Welcome back, you guys, and I want to start with saying to you guys, I really want to big shout out to all of you. The reception to the first two videos was actually really surprising to me. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, with Life by the Slice, sometimes I find myself getting a little frustrated about how things are going and how I really don't have all of the equipment and all of the things that I really want right now. But right now, we're just gonna shoot some real shit and we're gonna keep this going. So thank you so much for joining me back for part 3, and let's get the discussion popping. All right. So in part 2, I left off by I was pretty much at my wit's end in rehab, and the night before the diagnosis, like I had mentioned in the other video, I just solely remember praying to God and asking God, if this HIV diagnosis is true, please help me. Please help me through. Please help me to be stronger, wiser, more intelligent. Help me to understand. And so with that being said, I was able that night, I slept like a baby because of all of the crying and how distraught I was, and I didn't even know my diagnoses at this point. So moving forward, like I said, I slept like a baby. I slept like a baby that night, and I remember waking up. But when I woke up, I damn near didn't remember. I felt like I didn't remember anything that happened. So with that being said, Mr. Moore came into rehab by 12 p.m. and now we're into the next day. We're into March 6th, which is my HIV diagnosis. That's the day I was diagnosed. So Mr. Moore came in about 12 p.m. and it was really awkward because nobody else was getting the HIV testing and everybody had already got their testing done that day. So it was a little awkward for me, and I feel like people were starting to see me sweat a little bit. But I was nervous, like any human being would be in a situation like that. So Mr. Moore comes in, and we the same thing as the day before. We had a great conversation. We just shot the shit. We prayed for each other. I specifically remember telling Mr. Moore that if this is true, if I am HIV positive, please don't give me that sad look in the eye. Please don't pity me. You get what I mean? Don't be sympathetic, but be more of, if you could, be more empathetic. Which he was. He definitely was. So over the course of 20 minutes, we kept talking. He was doing his best to keep me calm, which I was already calm. I had prayed for it. And I remember the last 5 minutes of the 20-minute test. And as I was looking at the test, I started to see, like I mentioned to you guys about the 2 lines that show that you're HIV positive. I sadly and unfortunately, I seen that second line started to get darker and darker and darker. But until I had heard you're HIV positive, there was still something in me that was kind of in denial. And I didn't want to believe it. Who would want to? But like I said, I told Mr. Moore, if this is true, be a friend about it. Just honest like you would be honest with one of your friends. And the look in Mr. Moore's eyes, I'm not gonna be able to forget that. because of what I seen in that man's eyes. I seen that, yeah, I was HIV positive. So I told him, I did the kind of like a 3, 2, 1, and I looked at him, and I never thought in a million years I would be hearing those 3 letters. HIV. Oh, shit. But when he looked me in my eyes and he told me that I was positive, it felt surreal. It felt like a dream. I wouldn't say a nightmare. I wouldn't say a nightmare. I solely recall. I solely recall everything going quiet and silent. No matter how loud rehab was, no matter how loud the lounge was where we slept was, I couldn't hear shit. I couldn't hear anything. And I remember going to 2 people. First person was a woman named Miss Dorothy, who works at Tara's house. She is a TA. And I remember telling her it is true. And she just turns around and she looks at me. And she says, "What?" I said, "I am HIV positive. It's true." And as I was starting to tear up and we're getting ready to break down, this was so odd. Just my whole attitude was changed after this. She looks at me and she goes, "Boy, you're gonna be alright." In my mind, I'm thinking, "Bitch, what are you talking about? I'm HIV positive. How am I going to be alright?" And then she just came and gave me the biggest hug, and she assured me that medicine has come so far. And it's not like I'm in a situation where I'm on my deathbed having expecting the worst. HIV is just not what it was 30, 40 years ago. Luckily, the bright side to this is that as of June 2019, I am undetectable. Which undetectable means that it means a few different things, but like I'm gonna save that for the education piece of the video, so we'll get to that at a point. But as of June 2019, I am undetectable. But like I said, I'll get into that later. But after that, after speaking to Miss Dorothy, I went to Ivan, Lisa, and Joey, and the love that I got was so big and so immense. I almost didn't feel like I had it, but I still had a job to do. Though all the reception and everybody was just telling me, "You're gonna be fine, you're gonna be good, you're gonna be this, you're gonna be that." I believe them. The first thing when I got my HIV diagnosis, I didn't think death. That wasn't the first thing I thought. The first thing I thought was actually the scariest thing I thought was having to was having to call my husband and tell him that I'm HIV positive. If I start crying in any of these videos, I don't want any. Don't mind me. It's just having to relive this and having to retell. I don't have to retell this story, but I really didn't think it was as touchy to tell this story to you guys. But yeah, I had a job to do, which was to tell my husband that I'm HIV positive. So with that, I tell my counselor, and as much as she thought she was trying to help me, all I really have to say for her is thank you and fuck you. Because she kind of put me through hell in a sense she kind of made me feel guilty for having HIV. And she was a bitch. But, excuse my language, I still had to carry on anyway. So, later on, probably a few hours later, after me getting the HIV diagnosis, I'm talking with my counselor. Anyways, I have nothing good to say, so I'm really not going to say it at all. But I am going to thank her for doing her job, or what she thought was doing her job. But it was my time to speak with my counselor. It was actually an emergency situation because I just found out that I got an HIV diagnosis. But as on this video, I only have 14 seconds left, so I am going to end this video right now, and we're going to get to part 4. And I'm going to do my best to make the story as short and sweet as possible. So, see, that damn alarm. I need to learn how to do this better. But yeah, I will be back for part 4, you guys. So I do want you guys to hang tight, because there is still more juicy shit that I have to get to. If this ain't even the best, me finding out I'm HIV positive ain't even the juiciest part. So I will see you guys for part 4. Hang tight. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you next video. Peace out.